Hope you'll join me in welcoming to the stage. We're going to have Nicholas Sparks, the author of the book. We've got Julianne Hough and Josh Duhamel. Hey.
Make sure that's right. It's 400 million.
Let me set my iPhone down here.
So welcome. I guess, Nicholas, it all starts with your book. So let's start with you. How did you get the idea for this story? Where did it come from?
Always the idea for any novel just starts with a small seed and it kind of grows from there. And I wanted to, I thought adding an element of danger would make for an interesting story. So I said, well, how do I do that? And it became a dangerous person, and it became a woman fleeing from this dangerous person, so to speak. And little by little, you sort of build the story together. And the real challenge, though, was to balance the thriller elements with the more romantic elements. And so, you work through it throughout the novel, and then you take the novel and you adapt it to a film.
I mean, I wanted to ask both of you as well about joining the film, because certainly when we see it on screen, this isn't a spoiler, don't worry, but the first few minutes are almost like a horror movie. You really don't know what's happening, and they're really scary, especially for your character. So, is that something that came across in the script as well? Were you sort of reading this going, what the heck is this?
Absolutely. In fact, I read the script before I even knew it was Nicholas Sparks' book, and I started reading, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I found out that it was Nicholas's book, and I was like, oh, it's so different. It's got this thriller, darker, edgier aspect to it, and I loved it because it was so. For me, any kind of action I love, because growing up as a dancer, like the physicality of things was, it was really fun for me to do all the stunts and everything. So.
And does that make it more attractive for, frankly, a guy to be involved in a romance? Because there is this, there is a bit of a stigma sometimes. I mean, so, Josh, was that something that kind of got your attention?
Stigma? What are you talking about?
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's there.
No, that was something that definitely attracted me to it as well. The idea that it was a little bit different. Of course, I always wanted to do one of these movies. I really admire the guys that have done the movies before, but this one stood out for that reason, because it was darker. It had more of a sense of danger, I think, than what I'd read from Nicholas before. So that was definitely something that attracted me to it.
And you got Lasse Hallström to direct it, so he's obviously really incredibly respected director, and you've worked with him before, so.
Yeah, Lasse Hallström had directed Dear John, and we knew exactly what he would do, and we knew exactly how he worked. So this time when we came in, I think everyone on the producing side, we knew exactly what was going to happen, but these two they'd never worked with him before, and he's all I could do was tell them that it was an actor's director, that he'll pull these performances out of you in his Lasse Hallström kind of way. But you have what he's doing with the actors, but director, they do so many. It's not easy to work with kids. It's not easy to run the set, and he's there to also set the culture. It was a terrific choice, I thought. Well,
let's see a little bit of you two in action, but before we then discuss it. So I think we've got a couple of clips from the film. Let's take the first one now.
All right.
Mysterious.
Ooh. See, scary.
That bit not so scary, fair enough. But I wanted to ask about, Lasse is apparently famous for doing lots of improvisation on set, so how did you adjust? Some people love it, some people, run scared.
Well, it was scary for me at first, because Julianne started 2 weeks before I started, and she said, no, don't worry about it, we let you improvise all you want, you don't even really have to follow the script. I was like, what do you mean? I've never done that before. So after working a couple days and understanding what that meant, it was one of the most liberating and empowering things that I've ever been through as an actor, because he really listened and allowed you to be creative and collaborative and ultimately just wanted the most human story that we could tell. And by doing that, he just let us go.
Yeah. How about you, Julianne?
I would say the same thing. I felt like for the first time trusted, and that I was actually hired as an actress in this film, and I felt confident because I was trusted, and there were no wrong decisions, because he loved the awkward quirky little things. And if you see the movie, hopefully you do, one of my favorite scenes is when I first meet Lexi in Alex's general store. And Lexi happens to be Josh's character's daughter. And it's all, she says whatever's on her mind, and it's the cutest thing and so charming. And it's probably my favorite scene because it's so... like her natural awkwardness makes the scene perfect. It's so great.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to get a performance out of a child actor.
Yeah.
Most of the time is just let them be themselves.
Well, there's a thing or two to learn from them, actually.
Yeah.
We could actually learn a thing or two from them.
So it wasn't that old cliche of not working with animals and kids. It was kind of the opposite.
No, it makes it better.
Yeah.
I'd much prefer to work with kids because they bring an energy that you just can't manufacture otherwise. Yeah. And they definitely added an element to this movie, the shooting of this movie, that made it something that I won't forget.
Well, and also too, because it's like the relationship with the kids really made the relationship with Alex and Katie work, because Katie's obviously very guarded, and I think the kids really helped break that wall with Katie so that they could fall in love, because in an hour and a half, her guard goes down. So usually that would take months. So the kids definitely were a huge help.
Yeah.
So.
And Nicholas, just finally on the sort of improvisation thing. I mean, obviously you've written the book.
Yeah.
And I imagine it'd be really hard to kind of let go of it and let people just do whatever. Are you just used to this by now after 8 movies?
Yes and no. Every director brings a different style, and I had worked with Lass's style before. I was very comfortable with Lass's style. It was really important in this film to allow the actors to bring these characters to life emotionally. And although there was a lot of great things written in the script, as you read the script, just even for me as a producer, the guy who wrote the novel, you look at it and you say, they're going to have to bring a lot. They're going to have to find how to bring interest to these characters through the quirky things that they do, their expressions, the way they look at each other, and all of these little elements. And you needed to have, I thought, a good director who will give them the freedom to say, okay, do it with a little more, or try this, or just, you kind of know what we're trying to do in this scene. How would you say it in your life, if you had just met someone? And that's kind of how he works. And then by the end, you're like, okay, this works really well. So you capture everything you're supposed to, but it comes off in a more natural way.
Yeah, I got to say that Nicholas was very open. I actually called him the night before I started my first day to say, okay, Nick, I have some ideas. What do you think about this? It's a little bit different than what the character was in the book, but this is what I'm thinking. And he was really supportive about just whatever you do, don't make him boring.
Right.
Find the ups and the downs, make him playful, make him, give whatever peaks and valleys you can find with this guy, go for it, because that's at the core, that's who this character is. And we say that we improvised a lot of this script, and there was a lot of that, but the script was actually very good. But really, the story was great.
Yeah.
Nicholas wrote a great story, and what we really tried to do was just tell that story as honestly as we could.
Yeah. Well, I think that brings us to another clip, because this shows some of the kind of quirky moments that you were talking about. It's from the same scene we've just seen, Day on the Beach. Let's have a look at that. I've got to ask there, I mean, there's great kind of chemistry between you and the kids. I mean, actors going into war movies go to, boot camp. So you have to go to, dad camp for these guys.
I actually spent a lot of time with those kids before we started shooting. It was important to me. That relationship with those kids was as important as my relationship with Julianne in this movie. So I tried to spend as much time before we started shooting and then offset as much as I could, so that when we did roll camera, they could be themselves, because they were really delightful kids. And the more we could bring that out in them for the movie, the better. And I'm really proud of what Mimi and Noah did in the movie.
And Julianne, I mean, in terms of your preparation, I believe that you visited women's shelters and did some kind of work that way.
Yeah, I did. I don't want to give too much of it away, but my character definitely goes through some things that are emotionally traumatizing and physically traumatizing. So I would go and talk to women in shelters about what it was like to be in maybe an abusive relationship or something like that. So it was really fascinating and also really encouraging to see the growth that they had and the journey that they took and knowing that it's through family and friends who really make that safe place. And that's what this whole movie is really about. It's about, maybe Southport is a wonderful, safe place, but it's about the people who really let you be you and let you, be safe and comfortable with what you're doing. So, yeah.
Just speaking of Southport, it looks like a hideous
Incredible.
place to have
Yeah,
to film. Poor things, how you suffered.
It was awful.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. I mean, literally, we were living at the beach. So every weekend when we weren't shooting, we'd be there and playing. And I had my 2 dogs, and we'd run up and down the beach and in the water. And the food was amazing. I mean, it was all fried. So before that bikini shot scene, I was like not eating the food. I was having salads, and that was about it. But I mean, the restaurants, the people, everybody were amazing. They would make us cookies on set because they lived right there, or like make us food, and we'd sit on their porch and eat it. I mean, it was really such an amazing town.
Because this is kind of your adopted home, this whole area. Right?
This whole, I live not that far, about 80 miles away, so I would drive down to set, and then I could drive back home. I mean, it wasn't that far at all, and that's what it looks like where I live, and I think it's really beautiful. It's slow and it's hot, and so everything's just it's like the days are longer there. They kind of, because you have the chance to be not busy.
Which is a nice thing to have. Okay, we're going to have, we've got one more clip, which I want to bring on, and I want to discuss this one a little bit afterwards, because you've talked about this before. This is a scene after you two have been on a little canoeing trip. I didn't think the dancing was that bad. Come on, police being called. But apparently that was a scene that neither of you were very keen on paper. So
it was it was just a little bit, I don't know, maybe a little far-fetched for 2 people to
originally
just
it
get
felt
up
like
and
that.
dance.
It felt like it was a scene that I didn't want. I wasn't comfortable just because I'm not comfortable by nature dancing, but it was one of those things like who just ends up dancing like that. But then I thought, and I talked to Lasse and Julianne a lot about it, and we figured out a way to make it playful and sort of a way for a guy when he's first dating a girl. At some point, you got to make kind of a bold move, and that was kind of that moment. Yeah. And a scene that I was really apprehensive about turned out to be one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah, me too. And I think, too, it was kind of like, oh, this is my first movie where I don't have to dance. And so that was kind of my reasoning a little bit behind it, too. But, I mean, it's not like a full-on dance routine. So it was really about, like, falling into it and laughing in the hat. And it's just charming and cute. And, I mean, if somebody did that with me, I would, like, my heart would melt. So, I mean,
I thought you were going to say something else.
What?
Nothing.
Lovely wise. All right, I'm going to throw it up into the audience in a moment, but I just wanted to ask first, before we carry on, what's next for all of you? I mean, Nicholas, what have you got planned?
I have selling my novel in Hollywood today, my next one. Over the next few days. I have The Best of Me coming. That should start filming probably within a couple months. Okay. That'll be a different studio, but I'm excited about that. And some TV and Broadway, and I have to write again, another book.
So
nothing.
Barely anything.
Yeah,
nothing.
Almost nothing going on.
And I mean, Julianne, in the last couple of years, you've worked with Cher, with Tom Cruise, and now these two.
I know.
So, what's next?
She's regressing.
No, I know. I've been so lucky. I mean, it's definitely been hard work. I know it seemed like it just happened overnight, but I mean, it was a struggle to get here. But I'm so grateful. And next, I did a film with Diablo Cody. So that should come out later this year.
Is that Paradise? Is that right?
Paradise, okay. Yeah. Pretty intense script. It was a Christian evangelist who got in a plane accident and now is burned over 2/3 of her body. So she's a burn survivor, and it's all about identity, and she has a wild night in Vegas because she wants to just sin. And it's a really fun story, charming again. So that comes out, and then my brother and I actually, I haven't announced it, and I don't think I can yet. But we have a really cool project that I even think that our, because I lived here for a while, the Londoners or the UK goers will really, really enjoy. Anyways, I can't really say too much more, but I'm very excited about it.
It's exciting.
And it's on the other side of the camera.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Intriguing. And Josh, how about you? Are you done with
got
Transformers
nothing.
now? Or
No. Yes, I am done. I am done with Transformers. Although I got a call from Michael Bay last night, congratulating me on the little one on the way.
Yay! All right.
Thank you. So that I am over the moon about, obviously. Kids' Choice Awards, March 23rd, which I'm very excited about. I'm hosting that. Got a movie at South by Southwest that comes, I think, 2 weeks from now. We open it there. And, just hustling. Just hustling.
Every day, man. Every day. All right. Have we got any questions from the audience at this point? Okay. I can see a lady down here with her hand up. Let's get you a mic.
Okay. Hi, my name's Joni, and
Hello.
Nicholas Sparks, you're my favourite author.
Oh, thank you.
And I've seen this trailer so many times on YouTube, and I must say, how did you come up with the inspiration, not for just this, but for all your other novels like Dear John, Notebook? Because I must say, when you read one of them, you just want to read all of them.
Yeah, thank you. That's sweet.
So cute. I love her.
Thank you.
Yeah, early on, the stories were inspired by my family. The Notebook was the story of my wife's grandparents, and A Message in a Bottle was inspired by my dad after my mom died. And Walked remembers the story of my sister, my younger sister. So it started off being family, and then maybe people that I knew. And again, it always starts with that seed, and what you're just trying to do is to come up with a story that you think people will like. And I do my best to make the novels or the stories feel as different as I can. And if you see, for instance, what that means is you can watch The Notebook, right? And you can love The Notebook, but you should be able to turn right around and go out to see Safe Haven and enjoy that too. And it feels totally different, feels fresh, it feels new, but it's also kind of the same in a way, in the way that you like it. And that's what you're always trying to do, is to thread that needle between being totally fresh and new and telling a brand new story, but still giving those threads of familiarity that people have come to like. Which is why, for instance, they're always in North Carolina, right? Just because, we don't want to change everything, right? So they'll stick there. I always get asked. Yeah, they're all there.
He's going to be running for governor of North Carolina.
Yeah.
He should, actually.
All your books will serve as your manifesto in that case.
This is how much I love this place.
Any more questions? Lady over there.
Hi, my name's Katie. I'm actually from North Carolina studying
I
abroad.
see she's got the North Carolina.
Tar Heel.
Yeah.
You had to come all the way to London to ask us a question?
Yeah.
We were
totally,
just there.
that's what it was. I know. So I was going to ask you, and speaking to North Carolina and everything, what is it about the state that you think makes some of the greatest love stories there as compared to somewhere else that, is universal and people can love over here in the UK? And then what all did you draw from the state as inspiration for your own characters?
Do you want me to answer first? It's an interesting state in that the closer you get to the coast, the smaller the towns become. If you look at Los Angeles, right, or New York, they're all the big cities, New Orleans, they're all, when you get to a state with a big coastline, the big cities are always near the coast. Not so for whatever reason, not so in North Carolina. I mean, by the time you get to Southport, it's like 1,000 people living there. And you're like, but this is the prettiest spot. I don't get it, right? And so it's because you have all these small towns, I just think it lends itself well to giving people the time it takes to get to know each other. And in small towns, you bump into people. That's part of what made Safe Haven work. See, when Katie shows up, played by Julianne, she's guarded, she doesn't want to put herself out there at all, but she has to continue to interact with Alex, played by Josh. Why? Because he owns the store and she needs to buy stuff at the store. So whether she wants to or not, she's forced to do this. So that would be my answer.
Plus, I think that there's something about the beaches there. I don't know if this is probably a good question for Nicholas. They're very regulated in their conservation of the beaches there. And maybe that's why they don't populate as much, is because you can't really build on the beaches there. And to me, that's what I found so beautiful about it, is it's one of the best kept secrets in the U.S. anyway, are these beaches in North Carolina. They're beautiful, and the water's warm, and the sand is soft, and the beer is cold. So there's something about this place that feels very rustic almost, and I think it's because they pay so much attention to conserving these beaches.
Yeah, and then I would just say too, because of its size, you do feel like time kind of slows down. And you said the inspiration for kind of being there, what helped with the characters, I would say that, because you get to really calm your energy being in LA or New York or even London. Like, I find that I'm constantly like anxious about the next thing, whereas there I really just was present and I really enjoyed every moment that I had there. And I think with the character, it's the same kind of thing. She really wanted to get away from being in a big city and where there was like, you think of anxiety and
you couldn't breathe.
Fast pace, you can't breathe, and then the minute you land there or she lands there, it's like an ease and a comfort. So I would say that.
And I thought he did a great job capturing that in this movie. Lasse does a beautiful job of contrasting what she was talking about in that city. Not only not the city, but just her life in general. And once you get to this little Southport, North Carolina, it's like the movie just. You can breathe, and there's something very easygoing about it. But with this, her past is constantly sort of creeping towards, this inevitable conflict at the end of the movie, which is what I really loved about what Lasse did with it.
Yeah. Okay, we've got time for a couple more questions. Lady just there in the second row.
Hi, my name is Dana.
Hi, Dana.
My question is for Julianne. What was the hardest scene in the film for you?
Making out with Josh. No.
Lots of tongue.
Actually, no. I'm not going to go there. I don't know. I mean, all of the scenes were so fun to do. The love scene was really hard for me because it was my first love scene. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was very nerve-wracking. But no, honestly, every scene was so enjoyable because it was so natural and fun, and I loved every single person. I think a lot of the stuff in Boston, once you see the movie, you'll kind of figure out that was kind of hard to shoot just because emotionally it's a little bit heavy and darker. But Dave Lyons, who he plays Kevin Tierney, I worked alongside him for a little bit, and he was amazing. So a lot of our stuff that was pretty intense was easier because he's probably one of my best friends for life now. So, but I don't know. I mean, the kids were amazing. Josh was amazing. It was such a fun movie to shoot. I don't know if that answered your question at all. Sorry.
So literally nothing was difficult.
This is not a bad answer. That's an okay
I
answer.
know. I mean, it's challenging, but it wasn't a hard movie because it was so awesome to be there.
Okay, we've got one last question. I guess the gentleman next door.
From the guy.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a good movie for guys.
Yes, very much.
I'm not kidding.
Hi, I'm
It's not-
Zubin.
it's not
Nicholas, it's for you really. Being a writer and having actors ad lib. I mean, I'm a DP and I've worked on films, and sometimes you get into a situation where, it doesn't work at all. And, writers get very precious about,
Sure.
actors ad-libbing, You seem to be very comfortable.
Yeah, I am. As a general rule, I am. I had my chance to tell the story the way I wanted when I wrote it. That was the way I wanted to do it. I had the chance to imagine the story the way I wanted. Again, when I was writing it, anyone who wants to imagine the story as they want to, you can read the novel, right? You can go and do that. You're fine, and you can do that. So a novel's a story told in words, and a film is a story told in pictures. And what I want is the best film that I can get. And when you work with a director like Lasse, and we were very picky when we pick our directors. I knew he was going to ad lib, but what I also knew was that he was going to drag great performances out of Josh and Julianne. He was going to make them stretch and bring these characters to life, and he was going to he was going to make a great film. So when you're in that position, it's best to sit back and let them do their jobs. I talked to Josh before he started shooting, but I was not the kind of producer who's going to say, "Oh, add more emotion." I didn't do that with Julianne. We talked about, what are you doing later? Where's the food? These kinds of questions. You let really good people do their jobs, and that's just kind of how I look at it, and it works.
And just to add to that, I think it's sort of misunderstood. We did really honor the script also. Yeah. We really did, because it was a really good script. I think what he was trying to do was shoot this as documentary-like as he could, so that none of it felt scripted. And if something felt at all inauthentic to him, he wanted us to play with it and find whatever it was that was at the core of what the scene was supposed to be about. And that was what made this more difficult in a lot of ways, because not only did you have to know the lines that were scripted inside and out, but you had to know the scene from a 360 degrees, so that if he changed it up, you still ultimately knew what your objective was in each scene.
And then on a side note, because you're a DP, our DP, Terry Stacey, was incredible. When you see the movie, I mean, every image is the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen. So props to DPs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I just want to say, Safe Haven, really entertaining and not what you expect from a romance. It's got a few surprises up its sleeve. So congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh Duhamel, Julianne Hough, and Nicholas Sparks. Thank you.